Hey, how's it going, everybody? So I finally finished this little template. It was kind of already put together, but I kind of added a few more things to it, some overhead. Before I didn't really have the overhead put in there yet, but I wanted to put it in here just for this demonstration. So first off, I want to be honest. This is going to take a long time for me to go over every little detail in how your costs work. So what I would like to do is probably make like a two-part video. I want to just put this one out there though, so you guys can kind of understand just like what your cost should be. So bear with me. I'm gonna try it and make it pretty understandable. So real quick about myself, I've been in business. I just finished year 4. Prior to being in my own business, I went to school for accounting. I studied accounting for 4 years. Prior to that, I was in the military as an engineer. I was a heavy equipment operator, deployed for a year, so I got some experience in leadership, which really helped out with running a business, although it was still tough. Um, and before the military, I worked for numerous different landscape companies, numerous hardscape companies, lawn mowing companies, and I've always had a passion in the green industry, and I've always wanted to start my own business. But I knew there was more to it than just getting a truck and a trailer and a lawnmower and going out and starting it. So I wanted to make sure, number one, I wanted to make sure that I knew how to operate equipment because I love hardscaping, and I seen what my old boss was paying the equipment operator, and I knew if I started a company and I had to pay somebody that price, it would be hard for me to get started because I didn't really know that much yet. So yeah, I pretty much when I joined the military, that's why I chose heavy equipment operator because I wanted to get kind of in the construction field, engineer field, and understand all that. So, yep, year 4, it was a great year, best year ever. Year 3 was great. Year 2 was tough. Year 1 was tough. I'd say year 3 is when I kind of really kind of got into it. Um, Basically, year 1, I was still in college, and so I just went out and I had a Jeep Wrangler, and I put my mom's lawnmower in the back, and I would go around and just mow yards in the neighborhood because before I joined the military, I actually had a little company where I would go out and I kind of work on my own for like a year, and I was making good money at it, but I knew there was more to running a business, so joined the military, used my GI Bill, got an education, and kind of went that route. So here I am now. Um, yeah, it was a great year. And one big thing that helped me, I would say, one thing that really helped me out in the last couple of years is just knowing my numbers. I would say by year 3, I wasn't really quite sure of my numbers. Even though I went to school for accounting, I knew how to do it. I knew how to keep track of all my costs. But what you'll find if you're just, and this video is for guys and you're just starting a company, you're not really sure what you want to do in life, and maybe you want to try starting your own business, but you're not really too sure how to do it. You think that you can just maybe buy a truck and a trailer and a lawnmower and advertise on Craigslist and Facebook and you know do this work. What you'll find and what I found was at the end of every year, my profits were dwindling from maintenance costs and having to buy new equipment and stuff breaking down that I wasn't really expecting. And it was really a bummer because I worked so hard and I had this big passion to make this work, and it was tough on me. And I worked so many long hours. I worked weekends. I worked Sundays. I remember it was a pain my first couple of years. But anyways, I put this together. It's basically for the new guys. You're just starting off and you want to understand your costs because understanding your cost is what is going to make your company successful and pay for all its expenses. And that way you can work all year. You charge what you need to charge. You don't charge what anybody else is charging. Stick to your prices, charge what you need to charge, and you'll do great. Do good work, have good customer service, treat your employees right, and you'll do great. And it will be a great experience for you guys, and you guys will love it. So, part one of this video, I'm going to pretty much go over what to do when you buy a piece of equipment, how to put that into your hourly rate, when you hire your first employee, what to charge, how your prices change when you hire an employee, how your prices can change if you have overhead. And overhead is basically like stuff that you have to pay every month, no matter if you're working or not. So, for example, your business insurance, your business license, your rent, your utilities, your fuel. So, like if you're out and you're doing bids and stuff, you still got to put fuel in the truck. Um, Basically, yeah, all your costs that occur every month that you're just not, it doesn't matter if you're working or not, you're gonna have to pay them. That's your overhead. And then you have your equipment cost, which is basically like your direct cost. So it's directly related to your work. If you buy a truck, if you buy a trailer, and you buy a lawnmower, you need to make sure that your customers are paying for that. And that's how a business works, is that your customers pay for that stuff. And one way that I like to look at it is kind of look at it like you're a rental company, okay? So if you go in to rent a saw, they're not just going to give you the saw for free. They're not going to let you rent that saw out for free. They have a formula that they came up with to know what they need to charge per day for that saw in order to pay for the saw and make a little bit of profit. So that's basically what this whole Excel spreadsheet is. And you guys can make these spreadsheets on your own. They're super easy. But if you would like me to send this one to you or email this one to you, let me know. Comment below. Somehow get your email to me and I'll email it to you guys. And you guys can play around with it. But honestly, it's better to understand how this works. And if you guys can create your own on Excel, you're just going to be that much better, that much more understanding of how your costs work, and it's going to be that much better for you in the long term for your business. So I would highly recommend trying to make this on your own. But if you guys want something, if you're just starting off and you want to put some numbers in of your trucks and your trailers and your equipment and your overhead and your laborer to figure out what you should be charging in order to pay for all that, let me know. Again, I'll gladly send this over to you guys. So you have right here your equipment, your trucks, and your tools. So every time you buy a truck or you buy a trailer or you buy a lawnmower, you want to enter in that price is going to have to go to your customers because you're a rental company. The customer is basically renting that equipment from you. They're renting that truck from you. They're renting that trailer from you and those hand tools and those rakes. Look at it that way. Look at it as the client is renting your equipment from you because you're a rental company. Now, so you want to enter in all your prices. And how I have this down right here is you just simply enter in your prices plus the maintenance for that equipment. And what you want to do is you want to figure out how many years you're going to keep that truck for before you sell it. So if you're mowing lawns and you buy a $5,000 truck and you do the maintenance on it, I would expect to have it for 2 to 3 seasons if I take really good care of it. So what I would do, I would just take my truck, it's up here, I would take my truck and I would enter in the cost plus the maintenance that I'm going to pay for that truck for however many years I'm going to keep it for. So let's say 4 years. And then the salvage price is basically what are you going to sell that truck for after the 4 years? What is it going to be worth? What's that truck going to be worth after the 4 years? And in accounting, this is called straight line depreciation. And your depreciation rate, well, what you want to do is when you buy a truck, use it for 5 years, you spend $10,000 on it, and the truck's only worth $2,000, it's going to depreciate that $8,000, so you need to charge the $8,000 to your customers, and you don't just charge $8,000 to one customer, you need to break it up into tiny little pieces of money, and you need to put those tiny little pieces of money into your labor rate. So when you're out there working and you're charging a labor rate, you know that truck, the depreciation to that truck's being covered. So at the end of the year, 5 years or whatever, you built up enough money to pay for all your maintenance and go buy a new truck. So that's kind of basic terms. That's kind of how it works. Again, this is just if you're just starting off. If you're just starting off, you're getting out there and you can't afford some $150 a month program and you kind of want to understand your costs. This is the basic of the most basic ways to do it. And how I have it broken down here is I basically have my truck, my trailer, heavy equipment. I put this together for my company. We do hardscape too, so for now, just ignore the heavy equipment. Let's just pretend like we're just a lawn care company. We just started off. We just bought our first truck. We bought our first trailer, and now we bought some mowers. We bought a whip, and we bought some blowers and a little edger. So what you do is you go through, you add in the cost plus the maintenance for every truck, every trailer, or for your truck, your trailer, and then every piece of equipment that's in that truck and that trailer. So then your hand tools, you're going to do the same thing. You just want to enter in all the prices. You want to enter in how many years you plan on keeping them for and what you're going to sell it for. So for the hand tools, for example, right here, all the way down to a leaf rake. Let's say we spend $30 on this leaf rake. I'm going to keep it for a half a year because it's going to break. And I'm going to sell it for $0 because it's broke. So there's formulas all over here. This cost per hour. Everything highlighted in yellow again because this is made for multiple crews. Everything highlighted in yellow will all be formulated over here into crew 3. So this is crew 3. Everything in yellow. I put in the pricing for the equipment. It's going to calculate my hourly rate for my equipment. So my equipment's costing me $19.10 an hour. And then it's going to go down through my daily cost, my weekly cost, my monthly cost, and my seasonal cost. So that there's more of a formula in here. I'll show you guys here in a minute, but it's basically the straight line depreciation formula. And then I just took the daily rate and I divided it by a 9-hour day. So the reason why I chose 9 hours is because I was putting this together for my company, and I know my guys, we work on average 9 hours a day with drive time. And I just put lunch in there and all that. So I just made it to 9 hours a day. You put in all your costs under your equipment, trucks, and tools, and then you want to make sure that your overhead is covered. So again, your overhead is like your fuel, your rent, your insurance, your utilities, admin salaries, office expense, etc. And if you're just starting off, you're not going to have that much overhead. So there's very minimal right here. What you want to do is you want to kind of guesstimate how much fuel you're going to use for that truck per month. And you're going to put it down here as your monthly price for fuel. Your rent, if you're renting out a garage or shop or whatever, you want to put that in here as well. Your insurance, with your business insurance, you want to put that price in here. Utilities, admin salaries. If you have someone kind of answering the phone, you're paying someone to answer the phone for you, or even what I would do if you're just starting off and you're spending a lot of time in the office going over stuff, doing bids, working on your business, this is what I wish I would have done in the beginning because I didn't, but I would kind of pay myself for that. So put yourself as an admin salary right here, kind of charge a little bit extra because you're spending your time doing a lot of admin work. You're not constantly in the field mowing, especially when you're first starting. You're doing everything. You're doing the work. You're sweeping everything off. You're mowing the lawns. You're going to the dump. You're dumping it. You're going to the gas station. You're fueling the trucks up. You're coming home. You're doing your invoices. You're calling, answering your phone. You're doing everything. You're doing your books. So I would put a little bit of money in here for your admin salaries, just, kind of starting off. We do have a full-time admin, and this number here is not correct, but it's close. It is close. And then what this is, real quick, we'll go over this section right here. This is all your equipment and your trailers, and this is your depreciation, basically, your equipment depreciating. And so you're going to take this depreciation rate, and you're going to put that into an hourly rate over here. So next you want to go through and you want to make sure that you're charging correctly for all your overhead. You put in all your overhead, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you an hour or a yearly rate estimated total budgeted overhead for the year. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your overhead is being covered in your cost. And how you do that is you find one way to do that. How I do it is you just simply, you find it's called a predetermined overhead rate. And that's basically kind of guessing where your overhead's going to be for the season and guessing how many labor hours you're going to work for the season. And then you break up your overhead cost and you put it into your hourly rate. So every time when you charge an hourly price, your overhead's covered. So how that works is you need to find your predetermined overhead rate. And that's just a formula where it's your total overhead for the year divided by your estimated hours for that year. And that's going to give you your predetermined overhead rate. Now what you got to do if you're going to work full time, how to figure out how many hours you're going to work per season, it's pretty simple. If you're going to work full time, so say 40 hours a week, there's an average of 4.3 weeks in the month, and you're going to work 7 months out of the year. We live up north, so our lawn care our lawn care crew, they only work 7 months out of the year mowing lawns. So just for an example here, let's say we're going to work full time, 4.3, 7 months. I believe it's 1,204 hours. But let's say it's going to be yourself and one other person. So you're going to enter in two. You're going to enter in 2 right here for your number of employees. So that's going to basically multiply your hours by 2 because there's not only one man working these hours, now you got 2 guys working these full-time hours, and that's going to give you a predetermined overhead rate. Now again, there's a lot to this whole sheet here, so just kind of bear with me. I'm almost done with the first video. I will go over the second video here shortly, and we will show you guys how all this works so you have a better understanding. So again, here's the formulas that are kind of pre-calculated. Everything in yellow, again, goes with this crew right here. You got the trailer, you got the truck, you got the mowers. It's all pre-calculated over here, what they cost per day. And this is just based off a 20-day per month, so pretty simple. You're just starting off, you just kind of want to get something going. Cost per hour, a 9-hour day. Basically, I use 9 hours is because that's what our company averages per day when we're working. So all these costs, including your overhead, will all be formulated over here. And this is going to be your crew, equipment, and truck and tool costs. So up here for this crew 3, you're going to have an hourly equipment cost of $19.10. That's what you need. That's what you need to charge in order to pay for all your trucks, your trailers, and all your equipment and maintenance per hour for this truck. And then you got your crew members. How many crew members you put down here for your number of employees? You have 2 employees, so that should match right here for your crew members. You have 2 crew members. We'll go down to the hourly rate, and then I will start video 2 after that. So hang in with me, we're almost done. And trust me, this will help you guys out. So it calculates everything for you for your equipment cost right here. And then you have to manually enter in what you're paying your guys per hour. Now we have two guys, so we're going to delete this one right here. You need to manually enter in what you pay that guy per hour. So let's say that you're working in the field and you have one guy working with you. Let's say you pay yourself $20 an hour. and you pay your employee $14.50 an hour. You have to manually enter in your tax, so your workers' comp, your benefits, and then the POR is your predetermined overhead rate. And that automatically, how I have this set up, just to make it easier for me, right down here, it will automatically pop up right here for one worker. And what I have to do is I have to manually enter in for every labor I add. I also add their predetermined overhead rate, which is 18.43. And what that'll do, that'll give me my, well, I have it here as my total labor burden, but this is, again, if you're just kind of starting off, this is just kind of throwing in all the costs in here. So it's really simple, really basic. This is not advanced at all. If you guys are already having, 5 employees or 2 or 3, 4 crews, this video is not for you. It's basically for the guys that are just starting off, or if you're just struggling with your prices and you just need to know what you charge and why you're charging it. So you figure out your hourly rate, your taxes, your benefits, put in your predetermined overhead rate. It's going to give you your labor burden, and then you want to come down here. Now you need to also not only cover your cost, not only cover your overhead and cover your labor, you need to make a profit, because that's why you're in business, is to make money, to make a profit. So a good profit margin, 55, 60%, 55 maybe average. 55 is a strong profit margin. I like to go for 60. We do a lot of hardscaping, a lot of hard work, skilled work. So let's say we go for a 60% profit margin. That's going to give me my hourly rate for this crew right here, or what I should charge per hour in order to cover all my equipment, all my overhead, and all my labor. I need to charge $133.30 per hour for this crew. And I have it set up for a basically hourly rate for the crew, for crew 3, is because I found it easier if you just charge for the whole entire crew as a package, as like a bundle deal, because it's a little bit easier if you just bundle it all together, bundle all your costs together. So when that truck rolls out, especially when you start adding employees and you start adding trucks, which is what we're doing now. That's why you'll see all my numbers right here. I'm starting to number my trucks and my equipment, because it's that much easier when you're doing your estimates, which I have an estimate sheet too, where I can just know, hey, truck number 4 is associated with T1 or T4, whatever. It's all just kind of like linked together, but that's more advanced. It's further on down the road. But I did find it easier if you just bundle up all your costs for that truck, and you just charge, an hourly rate for that truck rolling out, because that way your truck, your trailer, all your equipment in the truck and trailer, and your labor and your overheads all being covered when that truck rolls out and you're charging that hourly rate. So one thing you're going to have to also do to enter in manually is anything that's not highlighted with a color, you have to enter in manually, which you'll notice right here, your overhead, basically like your margin. This could be a little tough for you guys if you're just starting off. What I would do, I would just try to really figure out, and then again, if you want to make money in business, it's going to take work. It's going to take time. You're going to have to figure this stuff out. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work. It's not going to come easy, but this may help you guys kind of get a head start. Your overhead margin, basically how I came up with this number is your annual overhead expense divided by your annual sales. So you're going to have to do a little bit of math here. And what you do is you take all your overhead that you have. Let's say you get your monthly overhead, and it'll calculate, if you just put in right here, let's say you have I don't know, let's say you have a card payment that you pay $75 a month for. It's going to calculate it all for you automatically. It's all set in here. So what you want to do is you want to take, and it'll give you, so a cool thing about finding this number right here, your overhead margin, is all you got to do is go down here to your overhead, and it's going to give you your overhead for the year. Now, the hard part is going to be figuring out what are your sales going to be for the year. And what I would do is I would just kind of, you're going to have to figure this out. You're going to have to figure out what you want to sell for that year. Let's say you want to sell, and don't even pay no mind to this number right here because your number is going to be way different. But let's say you want to sell $50,000 worth of services in your first year. So you're going to take your, and it tells you right here, you're going to take your annual overhead, which will be this number, total budgeted overhead yearly, and you're going to divide it by the $50,000, and that's going to give you a percentage. So let's say that your annual overhead, we'll go through a quick example here. Sorry this video is so long. Hang in with me, guys. We're almost done. We're going to go on part 2 here, and you guys can watch part 2 whenever you want. And again, if you guys want a copy of this, let me know. Somehow message me or email me, and I'll get it emailed out to you guys. But let's say that you had, let's say $30,000. Let's see if this formula works. $30,000 in estimated overhead for the year, and your annual sales, we're going to go for what, 50,000? .6. So that's a high overhead. Yeah, that's just a, those are just made up numbers. So what I did, and so you want to take that 0.6, you want to put it in here as a percentage. And what that's going to do is your hourly rate covers all your overhead, profit, and all that. So I'm going to cover this in part 2. There's a lot to this section right here, but basically what you do is you just want to find out your overhead margin, and you enter that number in right here. Mine is 0.24 at the moment, and I want to hit a 60% profit margin. So I go through all that, and that's going to give me my hourly rate for that crew. So I hope this video helps you guys out. And again, this is if you're brand new and you're just starting off and you don't want to spend $150 a month on some program that you're not ready for yet because you're not really, maybe you're not sure if business is for you. Maybe you're not sure if this is the route you want to take in life, or maybe you're just kind of testing the waters and seeing if this is something you enjoy. I promise you guys, if you just know your numbers, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of math, a little bit of time and dedication, but if you work on them, it's going to help you so much at the end of the year just to make, to make money, to make a business that is profitable. And that's what you want. You want a business that is profitable, because if you don't know your numbers, you're not going to be that profitable, and you're going to find out at the end of every season you're not making that much money, and you're going to be working very hard for little money, and you're going to think, hey, I can go work for another company and make the same amount of money, and I don't got all this stress to deal with. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I'm going to make part 2, and I'll go over more in depth the overhead, and I'll go over more how to add crews to this and how your hourly rate will change whenever you add crews and employees. Thank you guys.